All right, welcome back. Like Effect Sports. Got a bit to talk about today, so let's just get right into it. Matt, what are your thoughts on this week for Indians baseball?
Um, I thought it was a pretty good week. It was nice to see them get on a roll. I think they've won 7 out of their last 11. Obviously, like in this stretch of games, we've seen bits and pieces to feel good about, and that's kind of how I would feel about over this last stretch. Is like there's a lot of positives to take from it. I would think.
I agree. Oh, I'm dying already. Oh, excuse me. I just swallowed a sip of water. I felt like I was about to die. Oh,
That's the wrong pipe.
yeah, wrong pipe. But Indians back over 500 now, right?
Yeah,
63, 62. The bats are a lot better, and the pitching's becoming more consistent. Of course, you're going to have Sam Hench's nights every 5 days. So 4 out of 5 of those are probably going to be a really bad start. But now we've won 2 in a row when he's been on the mound. And overall, I think we're just looking a lot better as a team, and pieces are starting to come into their roles more.
yeah, I would agree. It seems like guys are starting to come into their own. Obviously, with the pitching that's been happening for the last couple months, I think hitting wise, you're seeing some things like Daniel Johnson. He's starting to hit a lot better. Zimmer has kind of emerged, sort of, but he keeps hitting nukes into Bronxville. Like, did you see that yesterday? Like,
Almost another 470 shot.
yeah, it's just they're on a roll right now, which is nice to see.
Yeah, no, it's great. And even although Owen Miller, his stats aren't showing that he's playing well, he's hitting the ball really hard. He's got incredibly low BABIP, and he's just very unlucky with a lot of his hits. He's another one of those guys that maybe another year, I'm not ready to just give up on him yet. I think he could be a pure hitter if he comes into his own.
For sure. Like, and I keep telling people this is that he makes a lot of good swings and a lot of good contact, but he's not getting rewarded right now. Like, that's why and he's had little more than 100 at bats. So I think it's in there. He needs to make a couple tweaks and maybe has to change his approach a little bit to maybe maximize what he does best, which is get the ball, put the bat on the ball pretty much.
I agree. Just an off season in the organization, working with the major league coaches now. I think he's definitely one of those guys where it would do a lot more for him than, say, obviously like a Jose. At this point, Jose is what he is. I don't think Jose is going to get too much better, too much worse for this middle part of his career.
Oh, for sure.
So, anything else for before we get into our stars of the week?
Now let's just jump into it.
Am I back with the first pick now?
I think it's my turn on this week.
All right, back to you then. All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Cal Quantrill. Like his start on Sunday, like even though ESPN would not give it the light of day, he dominated the Angels like in the Little League Classic. Like that start, man, it's what he's been showing all season when he's been stretched out. Like those little bits and pieces of maybe this guy can be an elite pitcher that he keeps showing on every 5 days right now.
Yeah, I saw a stat that over the past 2 seasons, players that have been, or since 2019, players that have been on the Padres roster that are pitchers, the person with the highest B-WAR is Cal Quantrill. I mean, you've got some elite pitchers on that staff, and this year, Cal Quantrill's the best of them.
Which is insane because they were banking on Clevenger. They were banking on a couple guys, but they've just gone completely in the toilet.
Guys.
Yeah, like
it's just absurd that they haven't been able to be better than Cal. They dropped the ball on that one for sure.
Oh yeah, like they overestimated like their pitching and they let a good guy go, which of course we're going to benefit from, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously couldn't predict the Clevenger injury either, but worked out for us.
Oh, for sure. It's just kind of like how with Kluber, we kind of figured he might be just falling off the cliff, but like, hey, we benefited from it. So we got out of it just in the nick of time.
It's been that way with the last couple guys we've all traded away from. And I don't think Lindor, that I'm calling this a fluke season for him, and he was starting to get hot right as he got hurt. I think he's going to go back to being a 270, 280 guy with 30 plus home runs. I think we're just very lucky this season to not be as sad as we usually would be with a player of his caliber getting traded away.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so I'll take my first pick. I'm going Sticks McKenzie. Sticks had another great start. Those two, it feels like every week they're going to be on the list, but they're just dominant right now. He struck out Ohtani 3 times, almost gave him the golden sombrero. He's been great, and it's not just a fluke at this point anymore. He's almost been as good as Cal Quantrill, and Cal Quantrill's been a number 1 starter on any team this second half of the year. And he's basically, other than his one bad start, he's also basically been a number 1 starter.
Yeah, like imagine the turnaround this year, man. Like the first half, he could at times not get out of the first inning, but now he's starting to show his promise. And now it just makes me so excited for next year once the rotation is all healthy, because when they're all at their best, they could be a top 5 rotation, man.
Oh, for sure. And there's a couple minor league guys that are right on the cusp. I think you got your Cody Morris and Logan T. Allen, who are going to be fighting for a number 5 spot in this organization.
Oh, yeah. You got so many different guys like Espino, Curry, that are also waiting in the wing in like AA, like low A, single A. Like they got a lot of guys that can go to in the next 5 years. Like we got this on lock for the next 5 years.
All right, sorry for that little break. I had some very unimportant business to handle, actually. But I was just talking about McKenzie. He's been great. Moral of the story, nothing else to it. Yeah, I'll just throw the pick over to you now.
Okay, pick for me. I'll go with a mid, man.
He's starting to swing. He's swinging a bat now. He's getting that slugging percentage up, and he's obviously been getting all base all year long. To stay in this lineup next year, he's going to have to play like he's playing this week. I love that pick.
Yeah, like right now he's like hitting 280 and his slugging is like up to 730. Like he's hitting the ball so well that it's hard to argue like keeping him out of the lineup right now. Everybody complains about his defense, but right now it's like hard to argue like not having his bat in the lineup right now. Like we can have conversations about where you could potentially play defensively next year, but for right now, he's perfect. Like,
and the defense hasn't been an issue as much this week. He hasn't really made those fatal flaws that's killed us before. So as long as he's playing okay defense, I don't think he's going to be our shortstop, but you can put him. You're going to have to play him on this team.
Yeah, I think he's at least playing into the short-term plans. You got him at least 2 years because of arbitration, and right now, like he's hitting the ball so well, it's like, hey man, you got to figure out something with him to keep him in the lineup.
No doubt about it. All right, I'm going to take just a risk fun pick right here.
Okay.
I'm going to take Yu Chang. I swear, every time when I look back through a game after we're done, I'm like, you know who had a pretty solid night? Yu Chang. He's been getting 1-2 hits every game for the past week or two since he's been called back up. And I don't know if it's just confidence playing loose. He's looking a lot better. And that's kind of the whole lineup as a whole. I think we're just facing easier teams right now, too. So players that are getting destroyed against talented rosters aren't getting destroyed anymore. They're facing like AAA or quadruple A teams. So I think he's benefiting from that a lot more than others.
Yeah, like he definitely seems a lot more comfortable. It does help that you're facing the Rangers that are basically just a AAA lineup right now. But yeah, he just looks like he's just playing loose and playing like nothing to lose right now, which, I mean, if he creates an opportunity for himself, that's great for him. Like we could use like a guy that could break out to be a utility guy. And if he's him, that would be awesome.
And he's just such a likable guy that you are cheering for him to take that utility role.
Yeah, it's like him and Ernie. Like those are the 2 guys I like the most just personally. Maybe not as players, but just personally.
For sure. They don't have the skill of everyone else, but man, they just seem like good guys, funny, and you're just hoping they stay on the roster, stay in the majors at least.
Oh, for sure.
All right, who you got? Final pick.
Final pick. Miles Straw.
Yeah, great pick.
Yeah, with Miles Straw, like he's just been like defensively great. He's hitting the ball well. Like he's just proving that he was a sneaky good acquisition pretty much. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's not. I feel like he's one of those guys that we can always throw on here no matter what, because he's going to get on base each week. He did hit the home run this week too, which is nice when he has that little leadoff pop. He steals bases and he plays consistent defense. So you're leaving me a tough final pick because I can go boring and say Jose because he's been kind of smacking the ball around again, or I can have the fun pick of Daniel Johnson, which I'm going to do. Daniel Johnson, like we've already talked, I'm just going to take a bunch. I don't have a person. I'm going to take a bunch of honorary mentions. 2 stars,
Okay.
3 honorary mentions. Jose, Zimmer, and Daniel Johnson. They all were very solid and had very bright points this week. That's all I'll say.
Yep. It is because of our show. We can make our own rules. So I like those picks.
Yep. That cheated, no doubt. But that's what it is. All right. So that's Indians talk this week. We actually have some Cavs basketball to talk about. All right. The Cavs, they did a move. They sat around all offseason, but they made a move. So they got Lauri Markkanen and they traded away Larry Nance and a 2023 second-round pick. That's all, correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
Of our section. I mean, Derek Jones went to Chicago. Chicago got a first-round pick as well, I believe, from Portland. So, and it's protected lottery.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just going to start with a very surface level question. Do you like the trade?
On a surface level, I like it because of the shooting. I guess like just the Maxwell, I guess it sucks that Larry had to be the collateral damage because he is a good role player. But at the same time, I think you needed the shooting more than Larry being on this team, if that makes sense. Like,
And no, I agree. And I think Larry Nance is starting to become a shooter, but he's not ever really going to be a shooter. That didn't make any sense, but in my head, that analogy sounded really good, where I'm like, he shoots the ball better, but he doesn't shoot a ton of threes. And we need a guy who can space the floor and just knock down threes like Markkanen can. Just under 40% clip. Big guy. Can rotate in, help with Mobley and his development.
for sure. And I think it was going to be, it would have been felt a little redundant having Mobley and Nance together because Mobley can kind of do the same things Nance can do, but at a higher level potentially. Like Nance could pass the ball, he can play make, but Evan can also do that same thing right now. So like they're basically kind of playing the long game here with Lauri being the shooter and then Evan kind of playing the Larry Nance role, but to a higher level probably.
And I really like this Lauri ad as it takes a lot of pressure off Evan right away. You can throw Lauri into the starting lineup right now, or just leave him off the bench, but in big situations, or they're scoring all over Mobley in the game. Instead of crushing his confidence, kind of just throw Markkanen out there to get his confidence crushed, because people are going to score all over him. Doesn't matter. He's not a great defender. He never has been. But he can, if you get that rookie year Lauri Markkanen, you saw kind of, again, a guy who's faded away, but a young Kristaps Porzingis from him. He was nearly rookie of the year. He was dominant. And I don't know what happened to him. It was one of those very weird fall off a cliff type players.
I think it was just because he was in a bad situation. It just seemed like every time something about Lauri Markkanen popped up, it was always about how he's unhappy with his role, how he might have been miscast. So maybe a change in scenery is a good thing. Like that's kind of my takeaway from it, that he just needed to get out of Chicago. And he was just pretty much saying like, yeah, I need to get out of here. I don't think I belong.
I agree with that as well. I think there's some guys when they're on the New York's, Chicago's, Miami's, LA's of the world, and their team's bad, even they're still a good player. I think sometimes they just need to get out of like the media. And coming to Cleveland, no one's watching us. I promise. LeBron's not here. Nobody cares about us anymore for basketball. So if you're trying to get a lower pressure role on a team that's going to try to fight for a playoff spot, this is a great place to be right now.
Yeah. And I think this also, and I'm seeing things about Kevin Love that potentially a buyout might be in order in the near future. Like I think Terry Pluto just highlighted in a column, and right now it just seems like it's progressing to that point of where the Cavs are like, yeah, we signed this guy just because we know we can't rely on you anymore. He can do your role basically at a cheaper price, like pretty much.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of funny. I was late to the party this morning about finding out about the Markkanen trade. So I was like, someone said something in a group chat about like, I hate the Cavs or whatever they're complaining. And I was like, what do they hate the Cavs about? And Kevin Love was number one on trending. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got rid of Kevin Love. And no, it wasn't that. Someone just tweeted like some old Kevin Love like college highlight video and it just got trending on Twitter. Cavs was trending right below. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks. But hopefully soon. It's like we traded him, we bought him out. No more Kevin Love. But unfortunately, that was not the case.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense that they're going in this direction, even if it's for a lesser player in Markkanen. But he can fill in the same role that Kevin potentially could if he's healthy. Like that's just kind of where it's going.
Yeah, I think I've said it on here before. Just get rid of Kevin Love. It sucks to say. He's one of those guys that if he didn't have this last couple years of his career, he probably gets his jersey retired by Cleveland because he was part of the big three of a championship team, of the only one that most Cleveland fans have seen in their life. So it kind of sucks overall, the whole situation. We have to get rid of him. We need to shed money. We're going to have to sign Sexton and Garland to big contracts here soon. Sexton his contract is up right after the season.
Yeah, I think he's a restricted free agent after this season.
All right, so that's one of those. He's going to go look to make some money. And we still have max contracts left, but we're running out of the 2.5. I think we just have 2 now, correct?
Yeah, you can afford to like pay 2 more guys those maxes if you go in that direction.
Because the NBA salary cap's weird. I believe you get 2.5, but now we've kind of used up our halves with Jared Allen, and this Markkanen deal. So now we have got 3 guys that are part of the core. Sorry, Okoro, you're not. Oh man, I'm hiccuping, I'm coughing. I'm struggling today on this podcast. It's not
first down the wrong pipe, and now you're just like hiccuping to death right now.
I'm playing like this is my flu game right now. So I've lost my train of thought. I'm just really struggling today. School started. I'm gonna use that as an excuse. I didn't really.
Yeah, that's a legitimate excuse.
But like my brain's fried. I'm trying to think of things, and I'm rambling a lot today. I'm leaving this in too. I won't cut this out. I'm not afraid to put a hand up when I'm struggling. I'm not on my A game. Matt, you can carry. Just what was I talking about?
Oh
gosh.
Just rambling on about how Kevin Love needs to just go pretty much.
Get out of Kevin Love. I'll end it there. Do you have anything else about the Cavs?
Nothing much. That's kind of been the big move right now.
Yeah. Before we get on to the Browns, I got to talk about my favorite sporting event that's been going on, the Little League World Series. Have you watched it at all?
Yeah, I've been keeping track of Hamilton. Yeah, like how they're doing.
They're doing pretty well. I mean, they're 1 win away from the championship.
Yeah, and it's been them, and then the Gavin Wares kid. That's pretty much Chris Sale reincarnated. Like that dude has been so fun to watch.
Have you seen him pitch?
Yeah, like
he's lights out.
Yeah, he's got like a no-hitter, and then he's just been propelling them all the way through the tournament pretty much.
He hasn't given up a hit in the Little League World Series. He's given up 1 hit since districts.
Oh my God. That's insane.
106 strikeouts. He is the best Little League pitcher maybe ever.
And that's saying a lot because like there's been a lot of people that have stood out. There's like Monet Davis back in the day. There were a couple like
Oh, who's the 14-year-old kid that was just dominant from New Jersey?
Danny Almonte.
Oh, Danny Almonte, my man. Not the GOAT anymore.
Yeah, the kid that didn't know he was cheating, but his team was cheating pretty much. Like
his parents heavy cheating, lied about his age.
Oh yeah, like pretty much on that similar level, except legally.
Yeah, Gavin Weir. I mean, he's been playing against 14-year-olds, kind of the reverse Danny Almonte.
Yeah, like if I won't be surprised if one day I see him in like the College World Series and he's just doing like a Madison Bumgarner impression in the College World Series too. Like I would not be surprised if I like 4 or 5 years from now see something similar.
Oh, he's pretty unreal. And speaking of unreal, if someone here were to, I don't know, perhaps pick the games, I'll use that terminology. They might be picking at a phenomenal rate, and they could also, not saying they are, potentially be winning a lot of money off betting off 12-year-old baseball.
That would, yeah. If I would definitely put a decent sized bet on Gavin's team, or if like with Hamilton, I would definitely put a decent amount on there just because they're having such a fun run right now.
And it's funny, they were the 2 of the 3 lowest odds teams. I live in this basement, and like I have these like windows with the drop down like of a basement, like those little cellar window type things. And this squirrel keeps hopping in and slamming into my window, and I already said I can't focus today. That's not helping. He's just, oh no, it's a frog. He's like climbing up my.
A frog?
Yeah, he's. Oh, do you see the one we got fall? See that frog right there? Can you see him?
Oh yeah, I think I see him. Yeah.
Just him there. He's just been slamming against my window, and I can't focus now. And I gotta plug everything back in. But this is a brutal recording for me, and it's just. I'm out of it. I'm not on my A game. I got frogs on my window, but I'm a Little League World Series sharp. Moral of the story.
Yeah, like
best in the business. It's not even a joke. I'm unreal. I've won like 6 straight bets. I'm up like 8 units on Little League World Series. It's unreal. I don't understand it. I don't miss games.
If I ever need a guy, I definitely am going to you if that's the case.
So Ohio's probably going to be a dog against South Dakota. They're going to be a bit of an underdog. Gavin Weir's not pitching in this game. They do have a solid number 2, but I think Hamilton might have their ace back, or they'll have their ace for the championship. It's one of those two. I'm not 100% sure, but I like the depth of Hamilton a little bit more than South Dakota because they can't really do anything except watch Gavin Weir throw perfect games.
For sure. And like that's probably why I would feel good about Hamilton in that case. If Gavin's not pitching, obviously like he's been carrying them. So like if Hamilton is facing them on his off day, I would feel really good about that bet.
Yeah. And then Hawaii and Michigan are both better than those 2 teams anyway. So they're gonna win it all. Whoever comes out of that side, if South Dakota wins and Gavin Weir's on the mound, South Dakota's gonna win, but if Hamilton wins, they're probably going to lose to Hawaii or Michigan. They're both a lot better.
For sure. And it'll come down to like his innings because they always regulate innings in Little League. So like it depends on what day it is and how many innings he has total that day.
Gavin Weir will have he's got 85. He'll have 85 pitches if they make the championship game. That's basically enough for him to throw a complete game or pretty close to it.
Then I like my chances.
Yeah, so stupid frog. He's just climbing.
This podcast has been a disaster.
I'm staring. I keep. Oh my God, there's 2 frogs. Oh my God, there's 2 frogs now. All right. Well, do we really have Browns talk? Should I just end it here with Little League World Series? I mean, they won a preseason game, right?
Yeah.
Baker's
I guess one thing I want to ask you is what are your thoughts on the alliance that the Big Ten, Pac-12, and the ACC formed? Well, like
the non-written alliance to do what? Not ruin the integrity of football?
It was so weird because they built it up so big, and then it was just like, oh yeah, we just formed an alliance. Well, what? What exactly?
Why don't you say like, each year the number one ACC team will face an out of conference game against the number one Pac-12 and Big Ten teams, kind of like a NFL thing. You face the division winners of last year, so you get that. So now each year, Clemson or Ohio State, and then a Pac-12 team, you can't say they didn't play a good schedule. You just can't argue that. Now every game they're going to have someone each year. I don't see how that's not just, if you're going to make an alliance that makes sense.
Yeah, it just feels like they got scared because the SEC is taking like Texas and Oklahoma, and they were like, yeah, we got to figure out something or else we might not be in college football playoff in the future. Like that's kind of what it seems like to me.
So what's the whole confusing part for me is what's the Big 12 going to do here? Are they just not a conference? They got split up and everyone just handpick someone? Do they take some teams like Houston, some UCF, some like near Power 5 teams and say, hey, you're Power 5 now? Like what's the deal with those guys?
Yeah, they're in such a tough spot because the Big 12 was Texas and Oklahoma, and like that's kind of the thing that's been college football is they have those brand teams for each conference. And now with Texas and Oklahoma just going off to the SEC, they're kind of in a tough spot. So they're going to have to bring in somebody or just have to like take a team from like that is on the cusp, but needs somewhere to go. And like they're just in a bit terrible spot right now.
Do you know it would be a really fun, super risky ad? North Dakota State. They would struggle in every other sport for a while. But football, you're telling me they can't beat half of those crappy Big 12 schools right away?
I would think they got a great chance to like feast on like who's in the Big 12 right now, like the Horned Frogs.
Campbell leaves, bad TCU. Well, TCU is actually going to be pretty good this year, I think. A Kansas, Oklahoma State. They just lost. I think they still have that Spencer. Podcast brain.
Are you thinking Rattler?
What? Spencer Rattler? That's Oklahoma. They got Spencer too, I think. Who knows? Maybe I made that up. They got a fast QB. He can run, but they lost my boy Chuba. So I don't know. I just pitched something kind of like I feel like that's North Dakota down to the Big 12 is kind of similar to what Colorado was. I mean, Colorado's a little bit closer, but that seems like I'm looking at like a map in my head. I'm like, that's carry the one about the same.
Yeah, like you can figure something out. Like you have like West Virginia, and they're all the way over here, while all your Big 12 teams are in the South. So like you could figure something out. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else now?
No, I think that covers it.
All right, that was a show. I'm not necessarily going to say it was a great show, but it was a show.
Very chaotic, but it was a show.
It was a show. It's going to have Twitter clips. For sure, going to have some Twitter clips. But for sure, I'm just going to get bullied here. Matt's going to clip up some awful things of me just staring at my window watching frogs climb. But
oh, yeah. It's going to be a fun week of just finding random stuff.
All right. Well, check us out on social medias. Thank you guys for watching. Don't stop watching because of this. Peace out.
Peace.